There's knocking coming from my bathroom mirror by Kuzenbo. I remember when I first joined the military. My grandfather had served in Vietnam, and his stories of traveling to foreign lands and experiencing new cultures fascinated me. After his passing, all I could think about was graduating boot camp and serving my country. Even now, it still amazes me that a kid like me actually had what it took to pass. I wasn't the type people expected to make it. I was the quiet, religious kid, the one who spent most of his days in school drawing and playing video games, while others joined ROTC or played sports to prepare for the military. But I learned something the hard way. You could be the strongest, most athletic person in the world, but none of that matters without mental strength. The military demands it, and unfortunately, it feels like I've been losing mine. The voices started when I was young, angry, bloodthirsty. At the time, I told myself that it was the devil trying to corrupt me. I turned to art as a way to cope, to push the whispers away. Growing up in a Catholic household, I was taught to treat people with kindness, to respect others, and the world would return the favor. A simple belief, naive maybe, but I clung to it. Of course, not everyone saw kindness as strength. Some saw it as weakness. I still remember the day in school when I sat quietly in the corner, drawing. When another kid snatched my sketch from my hands, he crumpled it up, laughed, and walked away. I remember the sting in my chest, the confusion. What had I done wrong? I wanted to lash out. God knows the voices urged me to, but my faith told me to turn the other cheek. Incidents like this became common. I avoided conflict, and others took advantage of it.
Just ignore it, and it'll all go away,
I told myself. Most of the time it worked. But when night came, the voices returned stronger, echoing in my dreams. They burrowed into me like mold, spreading to every corner of my mind. Eventually, I began sleepwalking, waking up in the bathroom, never knowing how I got there. My dreams, once escaped from the world, turned into nightmares of blood and bodies, visions of my own death. I never told anyone. Not my parents, not the authorities. I was too afraid of what they'd think. Over time, the voices faded into whispers. I prayed every day, begging God to save me. But looking back on it now, I realized what a fool I was. June 12th, 2018, the date that changed everything. By then, I was 3.5 years into my contract, working as an F-18 jet mechanic. It was monotonous work, tightening bolts with wrenches, day after day. My motivation wore thin. Then an opportunity came. Crash and salvage duty. A rare chance to escape the drudgery. If a jet went down, and it almost never did, we'd be the ones to respond. A grim job, but exciting in its own way. At least, if the ejection seats work. But that day, it wasn't a jet. It was a COD, a carrier onboard delivery aircraft. No ejection seats, just a transport plane, usually hauling mail and supplies. This time, though, it carried 13 new service members, fresh out of boot camp. I must have been cursed, because the unthinkable happened. The crash. When we arrived to the site, I saw a fiery scar carved into the earth. The wreckage glue through the trees, flames licking the twisted metal. The air stank of charred flesh and death. And then I saw him. A boy. He couldn't have been no more than 19. His lower body gone, ripped apart. His eyes still open. His mouth still screaming for help. But the worst part wasn't him. It was the sound. The screaming didn't come from my head this time. It came from the burning plane. Through the fire and wreckage, I heard them. The trapped men inside. Their silhouettes writhed in the flames, thrashing like fish pulled out of water. One by one, their voices grew weaker, till all that was left was silence. Only the twisted shape of their charred bodies remained frozen in horror. That night never left me. Even after I was discharged, I kept asking myself the same question. Why? Why would God allow this? Why would he let children burn alive? Begging for mercy that never came. I prayed. I begged for an answer. But all I found were tears. I thought back to all the years I had prayed as a child. Through the struggles, every whisper, every nightmare. My prayers still were always useless. And then, when I was at my lowest moment, I heard it. Not the voices I had buried deep in my mind. Something else. Rhythmic. Purposeful. I just thought it was in my head again. It's the same noise that followed me for years. But no, it was real. And it was getting louder. I pulled myself out of bed, half drunk. The room spinning. Beer cans all over the floor. Jazz blaring from the speakers. I shut it off. The silence felt heavier than the knocking. It had to be the cops. Some neighbor finally called them on me. I thought, can't blame them. It was 3:30 in the morning, and I've been sobbing and blasting music for hours. I walked to my front door. That's when I realized the sound wasn't coming from there. It was coming from the bathroom. That door's never closed. I leave it cracked open for late night emergencies, but now it was shut tight. A faint purple glow leaked out from the bottom, sick and unnatural. I would have gone for a gun, but I don't trust myself with one. Instead, I grabbed a knife, a poor man's security blanket. I live alone, on the 3rd floor. Nobody should have been in there. My eyes fell on the pill bottles scattered across the counter. For a second, I prayed it was just the meds playing tricks on me. Then came the knocking again. I couldn't take it. I threw open the door, smacked the light switch with one hand, knife raised in the other. Who's fucking with me? I screamed, my voice cracking in the stale air. The light flickered on. Nothing. Just me, knife, and the sound of my own breathing echoing back at me. I almost laughed. Almost. Then I heard a tapping. Slow, deliberate. I turned my head. The mirror. And there it was, my reflection. Only it wasn't me. It smiled, a hungry, hollow smile, and it tapped its knife against the glass. The way it looked at me, like a predator that's been waiting years for this moment, froze me in place. Behind it, a purple glow pulsed faintly, like something alive, something breathing. I stumbled onto the cold tile. What the fuck? The words barely made it out of me. Then it spoke. Its lips didn't move, but its voice filled the room, sank into my skull like a worm burrowing into soft flesh.
Hello, Michael.
Its eyes were black, bottomless. They pinned me down, stripped away any ounce of courage I thought I had. I've seen fire consume men, but fire in those eyes was worse. What are you? I managed to say, though the words felt pathetic the moment I spoke them. Its smile twitched, irritation flickering across its face, then widened, splitting grotesquely across its skin. It purred.
Have you truly no idea who I am?
I shook my head, barely breathing.
I am Velvet,
It said,
and I am here to answer your prayer.